Well, I'm excited today to be with Sharon Marrell, who is the creator of the Vocal Powerhouse formula. And she's coming to us from Lakewood, Ohio. And I would just love for you, Sharon, to give us all your tips of how to have a better voice when we present. But before we get into that, can you give me just a quick sketch of your professional journey up to this point? What have you done to get where you are?
Yeah, sure, Paul. So I am actually, my background is music, and I have been a music teacher for over 4 decades. I've owned various music stores. I currently own Lakewood Music Academy, where we do music lessons there. And we actually provide lessons on all different instruments, which is really just fantastic to be able to give that to people, give the gift of music. And beyond that, I also have been speaking and also doing some work with presenters and salespeople on training their voices to be more dynamic and to be more emotionally connected with people. And it's been something I've been really working with people on for probably the past 4 or 5 years so far.
Wow.
And so at this time, it's kind of, I've been diving in, yeah, and really going ahead and really giving that more emphasis and working on that more lately, and to help people out with that, because hey, we've gone more obviously virtual, and you really have to make yourself more of a presence now that we can't be in front of people and make that emotional connection in a physical way. So it's really fascinating how that all works.
Yeah, I really like the fact that you are talking about an emotional connection because that's really what it's all about. It's all about our audience and how to reach them. It's nice to have a great sounding voice and so forth as well to present your ideas, but I really like that you've brought up that emotional connection. So tell us more about the vocal powerhouse formula. That sounds exciting.
Yes. So inside of the vocal powerhouse formula, I use various vocal techniques and basically the five vocal power drivers of melody, pitch, pace, tone, and volume. And when we take all of those and combine them with various emotions, then you've got a formula where you are connecting, you're being heard, you're being taken seriously, and people are wanting what you have to offer. So we can, what I do is I break down each of those when you're talking about melody, pace, pitch, tone, and volume, and how we can take your voice, which all of us have various types of voice. And when you identify the types, especially like, let's say you have an airy voice, or you have a more edgy sounding voice, or people who have lower voices, higher voices, there are some people who actually don't like the fact that maybe their voice sounds like a little kid when they talk, because then they aren't taken seriously. Or if they're always down in a low, rumbly tone, then people can perceive that differently. They might perceive it as someone who might be often just angry all the time. And so, how do you vary your voice in order to create a sound that has a person emotionally connect and has them really make eye contact and really listen to you? So, this is where I'm using those techniques, and I work with people, and we're recording your voice. You're hearing what you sound like now, and as we develop each of these, then you're recording yourself later and you're truly finding your now authentic voice, because you are not born with the voice that you have now.
Ah,
It's really interesting to think about that, because when you were young, when you were little, of course, what you were hearing was your parents' voice, the people around you. And as you're growing up, you're imitating, you're imitating things, even on, say, television, what you were hearing. It's interesting because my granddaughter, she's my daughter, she lives with us. And it's funny because, of course, during COVID, she was home. She's 3 years old, and we gave her a lot of screen time that we wish we didn't have to have done. And she got into YouTube. And all of a sudden, I'm hearing her repeat things in sounds of voices that I know I didn't teach her. And so, we're learning by our environment, and we're developing our voices through the environment we hear and our parents. And when you think about people who say, "Oh, wow, you sound like your mother," or "You sound like your father," well, right there's proof that that's where you've developed your voice. And so I have you explore what else is there. What authentic voice can you create? And to discover your new voice is really exciting. And people are just amazed when it's like, "Wow, I didn't know I could do that." Or, "Wow, I didn't realize I had all these sounds I could use." Because when we think about our voice, many people, they are actually 85% of the world is monotone sounding. And some are you might use 2 to 3 different tones, but you kind of are stuck in that. And you don't realize that there's all these other sounds. You think about a piano that has 88 keys, 88 tones, and our voices actually have a 3 octave range. So we've got almost 40 different notes we could use if we really expanded the range of our voice. And I do a little exercise where you can take the song "Happy Birthday," and if you sing that using other words, like an event, like going to the grocery store, and you can experiment and find more tones. You go to an expansion of about 8 different notes doing "Happy Birthday" and just adding different words to it. So it's an easy way to experiment and see that, oh, you've got more than just where you're at right now. So it's an amazing way to really discover and find your voice through just subtle changes.
Those changes are really key to engage an audience. Of course, nobody wants. Everybody knows you don't want to hear a monotone, but I think when I coach with business presenters, they sometimes don't realize how important what I call vocal variety is to have changes in pitch. So you're telling a story, you might slightly change your pitch to indicate the various characters, in the story. So then I said, and then he said, kind of mix it up with the pitch a little bit. And, we talk about the power that you had mentioned that, we all know we can get your attention talking loud. Sometimes you can get it, talking soft too, like what's the secret, So tell us a little bit more about vocal variety
Exactly.
and how you feel that helps connect with an audience.
Yeah. So when you think about the melody, and I'm talking about when you go, up and down, you're ascending and descending with the sound of your voice. We're actually, when we do the ascending, we're making ourselves sound happier, more excited. And when you combine that also with, volume and, say, the pace that you're using, then you've really expanded on that. Because when I'm happy, I'm going to be talking a little faster, I'm going to be a little more excited, and it's going to be a louder volume. And so when I'm also then, if I'm coming down to be at a more, say, passionate or grateful, let's use grateful. If I've got some gratitude, then I'm going to have a bit softer voice. I'm going to slow my pace down a bit, and I'm going to extend some of the syllables that I'm using. So it's kind of an example of how that would be. So it makes a difference then on how you're connecting when you change even just those three: melody, the pace of it, and volume. Those three can make a huge difference. So many people, a lot of people, and you can listen to your voice if you make a recording. A lot of people may do a lot of descending tones, and they talk and they go down, and they keep talking and they go down. And it begins to make them sound very, what we call sad. They sound so sad. Oh, that's really so sad. Oh, it's too bad. And so now we can't connect to that. We just kind of, oh, I feel bad for you. But if you start using the ascending tones, now you've brought the energy up and people are more interested. So even just going up, and that makes a huge difference if you use ascending tones. So that's one of the ways, one of the things that you can use and try right away.
Now, we're on Zoom today. I've got a nice Blue Yeti microphone to try to sound a little bit better. What are some other tips that you might have to present in a virtual environment? It seems to me like it's even harder to engage an audience virtually than it is live. So our voice is even more important in trying to make that engagement than it would be live.
You're right. And because we can't make the emotional connection through the vibration of our bodies, because that's what's really happening when we're in person in front of someone, the vibration from the sounds of our mouth are bouncing off a person's body. And that's the true connection. That's where people can feel the emotion, literally. So now we're in front of this camera and we've really got to present ourselves. And it's going to be, of course, the facial emotions, our facial positioning is going to be important, and how we're sounding when you're using the melody, pitch, pace, tone, and volume. You've got to really bring that out even more, have more emphasis on it. And, it's not about, do you need to talk louder all the time? No. Can you talk softer? Yes. Can you combine all that? Certainly you can, and you want to. You want to be able to have your audience think about what you're saying. And how you're going to do that is through what we call the power of the pause. So anytime that you are at a comma or a period, you're going to go up just a little bit at the point of a comma or a period, because people are going to continue to listen. Because remember, when we go down, we think, oh, you're done talking. It's my turn to talk. And so that's how people also get interrupted. Now, on virtual, when we're on a Zoom meeting, we got to keep them engaged and tuned in so that they don't go, oh, I got to look at my notes. Oh, I got to go put on another screen here and look at that while I'm kind of listening to you. So being gauging where you could kind of make those little lifts to keep them on the edge of their seats so they're still interested in what you're saying is key. And when you are done, certainly you're going to go down a little bit and finish that sentence off, so you're done with a section. And of course, engaging with your audience and asking questions and having them put things down in the chat, and so that you can respond back, because you're going to have that back and forth interaction by just saying, oh, yeah, so-and-so said this. Thanks, Chris, for saying that. Oh, and just going down the line and saying a few of the chat comments so that they know that you are engaged with them too. So if you keep that kind of back and forth going and keeping energy up and using all of the vocal power drivers, then you're going to keep the audience engaged that are on the other side of the screen there.
Now, the way I first became aware of you was through a fantastic video that you did on how to keep from losing your voice, which is huge for anybody who does a lot of presentations. There's nothing worse than being up there presenting to a board of directors or an important meeting and feel that you're losing your voice, and you just pray that it's going to hold out to get you through the meeting. What are some tips that you have to keep that from happening?
So to not lose your voice, one of the key things is, of course, drinking water. Be sure that you're drinking enough water to keep the vocal cords, to keep everything lubricated. You're absorbing that water, and you can't just do it like right before. Don't drink a gallon of water right before you're going to speak. That's not the point.
That might cause
You're throughout the day, if you're drinking water, yeah, true. Throughout the day, as you're drinking water, it's then absorbing. You've got it absorbed into the tissues, and so the vocal cords that around there, they're remaining lubricated. So that way you're not going to lose your voice. Also, if you do come across that you're starting to lose your voice, well, let's put it this way. If you've lost your voice and you need to get it back and you're going into another presentation, a way that you can actually work on that to get it back is doing what we call we call them low larynx exercises. But what it is, we're bringing the larynx, and you're right where your Adam's apple is. If you bring it down, you're going to do some Yogi Bear sounds. You're going to sound like Yogi Bear. And you go through and you do this exercise and you speak like that by doing some vocal exercises where we use some syllables such as gug or gug. And we're practicing that, and I have these vocal exercises that I'd be happy to share with people, and they're kind of gug 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 gug. They're exercises like that when we stay down in that low Yogi Bear voice, they help to bring back your voice. They loosen things up, and because right now at that point you've gotten the vocal cords are now red and they're getting raw, and you don't want to keep also breathing through the mouth. You've got to breathe through your nose, because as you breathe through your mouth, you're drying everything out and it makes you want to cough. But if I breathe through my nose, now I'm lubricating, I'm getting moist air in there. And that's what we want, is the moist air. So the big thing is, while you're speaking, breathe through your nose, not through your mouth. And there's short breaths. As you go on to the next thing that you're talking about, you take a quick breath through your nose. And it does take some practice to get used to, but that's going to make a huge difference. Just breathing through your nose will have you avoid getting that dry air going in through your mouth and drying out your vocal cords and having them turn red and raw and swollen, because that's how you're losing your voice.
I wonder if when people are more nervous, are they more prone to breathe through their mouth, or when their adrenaline's going a little bit more?
Yes, I think that can attribute to it, that nervousness. And part of it too is how you're breathing. Because I think when you get a little nervous and you tend to, a lot of us might breathe up in our chest area and our shoulders. You can see this if you look in the mirror. If you raise your shoulders while you're breathing, then you're breathing up from your chest rather than from your diaphragm. To breathe from your diaphragm, you're going to breathe in and expand the stomach area like a big balloon. And then as you speak, you're pushing the air out, and that also will help with volume and the tone of your voice. So that's huge too. You want to, as you're breathing through the nose, then I'm expanding at the stomach area the diaphragm area. So we want to expand there to make it so that you do have enough air to speak and have your sound supported. So yeah, it's going to be often that when you're nervous, you're going to forget what you're doing because you're not used to it at first. You're going to keep maybe breathing through your mouth, but the more you do practice breathing through your nose and doing vocal exercises where you can focus on that, then you're good to go. And when I talk about vocal exercises, I'm not talking about for the singers. These are voice exercises that you can do. It is singing, but you don't have to be a singer to do them. That's what's nice about this. So this will help loosen your voice up and help you gain more range so that you can create more melody and that type of thing.
Excellent. Well, great tips. If you could leave our audience with just one really key thing, though, what would that be? Do you have a golden nugget to share with us?
Yes, I think the biggest thing that people would benefit from is the fact that if they just put more melody into the sound of their voice, just try going beyond the amount of tones where you are now, just go up higher. Try that. And hey, you're going to sound happier and more excited. And try that for a week and see the reactions that you get from other people. See if you get a different reaction than you've been getting when you converse with people.
Excellent. Well, Sharon, you've been a wealth of information. How could folks get a hold of you if they wanted to learn more about you and your services?
Well, I'd say please visit my website, SharonMarrellSpeaker.com. And that's where you can find a lot of other videos and different things there. Also, I have a YouTube channel, Sharon Marrell Speaker. A lot of things there, a lot of tips there that you can grab. But you can definitely contact me through my website. And I will also be having a 5-day challenge coming up February 1st through 5th. And that'll be called Vitalize Your Voice. So persuade and using power and vitality in your voice.
All right. Well, great. Well, so thank you so much. If you've enjoyed these tips, be sure and subscribe and pick up on many other tips about how to be a better business presenter. Thanks, everybody.